Hello, hello, hello. Okay, so thank you for clicking on. And I was having some conversations in the past few days with some really amazing, amazing women. And ever since the Supreme Court blew up democracy the other day, the people are feeling really agitated or upset. Some are crying, some are really angry. Oh, most of us are kind of all over the place. And uh, one of the things that was pronounced was uh, over and over again. There's these really subtle ways that we buy into the idea that if we're spiritual, we should just maintain and even strain. But that phrase "maintain and even strain," right, is from the movie, the stuff. But it's a, a a philosophy or an idea that says that no matter what happens, you just stay at the same place, right? And so you don't get too high, you don't get too low, you just kind of like taking everything. It's very common in the military to kind of have this maintain and even strain kind of an idea. But you'll notice the whole idea of maintaining an even strain is that there's no motion, there's no movement. Right? And if you've ever seen any kind of a medical show, you know that when you're alive, things are going up and down. Now, it's different than the whole concept of the roller coaster and emotional out of controlness. But when you're alive, things change all the time. It's dynamic and it's not a flat line. A flat line means you're dead. And this maintain and even strain is kind of a white knuckle approach to life. You squash your emotions, you don't react at all costs. It usually has some kind of paranoid philosophy behind it, like don't let anybody know, don't let them see you sweat, right? And these competition ideas of somebody's better than somebody else, that keeps you uh, protected, barricaded, hiding all the time, which is exhausting and it takes all of your energy and it doesn't work anyway. It doesn't give you what the payoff is supposed to be. So, so a couple of really simple tools for what to do when you're um, live, you know, and just because you're spiritual doesn't mean you're dead, and it doesn't mean that you're not ever going to react to anything. In fact, the more you're allowing yourself to, the more you're being true to who you really are, and the more you're being kind to you, you will notice when you're furious. You'll notice when you feel like you just got gut punched, and the wind knocked out of you. You'll be you are aware of the sensations in your body, and you have an interest in what they're trying to tell you. Most, along with this maintaining and strain, usually it's kind of like be disassociated from your body, just like live from here up. And that's no good either. It's disempowering, even if it does, kind of make friends and influence people in the corporate world or in education. The idea that you're not hampered by your pesky emotions. It's a pervasive idea, and basically what it's saying is be disconnected from you. And the whole everything that I do with you is all about connecting with you, being empowered with you, having your infinite non-corporeal spirit side connected with and in communication with your body mind personality side, and how all these parts can co-operate, as in operating together. So, in on any given day, in any given job, in any given life, There are mean people, there are assholes, there are people who are acting out, there are people who are lying, there are people who are having a bad day and taking it out on you. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff we're all um, subject to. And some people are having a bad day. Some people are hell bent on everybody having a bad day, right? And so, what do you do in situations like that? So, um, I was talking to a friend, and this has happened over and over again. Uh, so, if you think I'm talking about you, it could be a chance. Could be true. But it could have been somebody else. And my friend was at work, and uh, the structure failed her, right? And some things were supposed to happen. And because they didn't happen the way they were supposed to happen, and she had the temerity to point that out, and then she's the one who got in trouble for pointing it out as though it was not a big deal. And even though caused a cascade of problems uh, on the other side. And so she was naturally really like furious. And as she was recounting all of this to me, she was once again, her whole physiology, she was being very, friendly and unguarded, uh, but professional as she was telling me about all this stuff. But she was also getting animated and in behind her eyes, not to me. And what she was saying was that just telling me about it, she was getting um, more agitated and she was starting to have a headache. And so I was like, okay, so um, what if you just take a couple of nice deep breaths? And let's have you be the other part of this conversation. So, what if right now you just take a couple of nice deep breaths, like you have all the time and oxygen in the world? Keep breathing. So, just take those nice deep breaths in, pause, exhale through your mouth, and you just keep breathing. And I'll talk to you a little bit about what's happening. So, when you're having to deal with um, an idiot at work or in your where and the authorities are likely going to side with the idiot, and this is all really common stuff these days. And then your physiology, because of the ideas of this culture, we go into fight, flight, freeze. We go into defend and protect. We're going to defend our point of view. We're going to protect whoever it is, whatever it is that we care about. And so we're in this kind of cycle of amping up. And the cycle of amping up has a lot of physiological components. Um, the peptide chains and biochemistry changes and all kinds of things go on in the body chemistry to react to address the situation that the mind is telling you what's going on, right? And so as you have probably noticed this as you're recounting a story of a contentious situation, you may notice when your own body starts to get tight again or to get agitated again, or you have a lot of energy, or your shoulders start to come up around your ears, or you feel a pain in your neck, um, or you start to have a headache. So any one of those things, however they show up for you, it's a sign your body is trying to tell you that it's gearing up. And part of what's happening is that you're breathing shallower and shallower. And when the body doesn't get oxygenated properly, its job is to sound the alarm and to tell you that there's danger because it's not getting enough oxygen. So you're suffocating. And because there's no pillow over your head, and because you're distracted by whatever it is you're emotionally invested in, you're not, it doesn't, the messages don't add up to you. So you just keep, like probably drink some more coffee and keep going after it, right? Because that's what the world tells us to do. Instead, if you let that tightening get your attention, and then you start to breathe, and you breathe like you have all the time and oxygen in the world, you will notice that a lot of the alarms start to go off. I mean, they just quiet. And you will notice that your body starts to feel better. Your shoulders can come out of your ears. Your physiology, your brain waves start to have a better rhythm because all the alarms are not going off. So often we misidentify a tension as an external stimulus when it's really what we're thinking, how we're thinking about things, how we've decided or concluded or interpreted something, and more importantly, how we breathe with it. So when you're really agitated, when you're threatened, when you're scared, in a lot of situations, what'll happen is you'll start to breathe less. And the shallower you're breathing, the more your body is aware that it's not getting the oxygen that it needs. And so it sends off the alarms and the biochemistry. And as soon as you start to breathe, it changes the direction. It can undo that cycle. And that you can come back, then you can come back to more grounded, more centered, more at ease with more oxygen, and your brain can think better. And it's not in panic, alarm, fight, flight, freeze. So that's what I mean about you can think better. The kinds of choices and decisions and perceptions we have when we're in fight, flight, freeze are of a very different quality than when we're completely, refreshed and well fed and full of lots of acknowledgement and appreciation. The decisions that we make in that situation, that well rested, well fed, well watered appreciation state, are much more thriving. They're much more nurturing. They're much clearer and help everything grow than the choices, the perceptions, the decisions that we make when we feel threatened, when we feel like we have something to defend or something to prove. It's just not a good place to live. Even though, I mean, we have to acknowledge that there's a lot of stuff in the world right now that activates that. And so to be kind to yourself, noticing that you're being activated, noticing that you're being tweaked, and then being kind. So it's the breathing, like you have all the time and oxygen in the world, right here, right now. You're lacking nothing in that way. Pardon me, I breathed something in. And then also what I call pat the body. So I usually this is like, kind of rubbing your legs, but I'm putting my hands up where you can see me, and it's just like, it's not like that. It's like pat. I say pat the body because it sounds better than rub your leg, and you can rub your leg, and I mean that's really what we're talking about here. The way you would, put your hand on the leg of a friend to say, "Hey, I'm here with you. We're good." So it's touch is one of body's first languages. So however you can um, physically remind, bring your mind and your body together, and your intention of being supportive, right? And breathing. And breathing helps you remember that there's plenty of stuff to do, but you're not lacking. Because when you're doing out of lacking, or you're behind, or people are going to be mad, or people are already mad, it's a very, it's not nearly the quality of doing when you have plenty of oxygen and you have plenty of water and you're on your side, and what else is possible, especially when somebody is going off crazy headed in front of you, making their problem something about you when really it's their problem. That doesn't mean you're not going to help them. It's just that you're not going to match their agitation. You're not going to go there with them. Oh my God, it is all my fault. They're telling me it's all my fault. Oh my God, it's all my fault. No, it's just something that is making them scared. They feel threatened by it, and they want to enlist you to help them, but they don't have a gracious way of asking for the help, or they're just an asshole, which happens lots of times too. So, or they're acting like an asshole. That happens even more often. So, uh, you can set your phone alarm for every 20 minutes, for let's say. And you don't have to get up from your desk. You don't have to do anything differently. But every 20 minutes, maybe just take 3 or 4 really nice deep breaths and have some sips of water. And if you have a really, um, compressed way of being right now from work or from whatever, you might want to, on those every 20 minutes, just get up and walk around your desk, or walk to the water cooler, or to the restroom. Just any kind of motion along with breathing. So, oxygenating and hydrating and allowing some movement in your body, all of those things are going to break the circuit of, panic and or trauma or competition, or I'm late, I'm terribly, terribly late, and not with a good sense of humor. To break that circuit so that you can be present and actually attend to whatever it is you need to attend to in a way that's really nurturing for you and your tasks or your relationships. So breathe like you have all the time and oxygen in the world. And just allow your shoulders to come out of your ears, pat your sweet body, and just choose to be on your side and keep at it. All right. Thanks for dropping by. I'll see you later.